A very public row has erupted this week between the UK government and Keir Starmer over the AI tool Grok, a tool that I have used very rarely. AI in general I've used very rarely, but I think it's an interesting conversation to have, an interesting topic to talk about. I think there's a lot of nuances, a lot of concerns that I personally have myself with AI, regardless of what has come to light this week. So I'm just gonna, on tonight's episode, give my thoughts, my opinions, my takes, and I suppose wider than that, my concerns on AI in general. And I'm looking at this through the lens of someone who watches a lot of movies, and I might go down a few rabbit holes tonight, but it's honestly a genuine fear I hold with regards to AI. I also want to speak on the way it's been handled this week by our government, our dear leader. So, this is Stu Know Who. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and like the damn video. So this all come to light this week because Grok, which is an AI photo generation or photo editor type tool, which I'm sure anyone watching this will know, probably more than myself because I use it very rarely, but it was creating or changing photos of women and apparently children as well into bikinis. From someone who spends quite a bit of time on X, I enjoy it. I love a bit of ish posting and reading some of the drama. It's great fun. I might partake a little bit as well, but I've not seen any of these pictures. I'm not doubting they are there because it's been big news all week, spoken about in the Houses of Parliament, and talk of not only Grok being taken down, but X as a whole being taken down in the UK. Now, I think I heard there's 20 million X users in the UK. It's a huge platform. Now, off the bat, what I will say is these pictures are... Look, I've got 3 daughters myself, and the thought of them having a picture manipulated in that way, it would anger me. It genuinely would. So I can see why there's been such a huge furore about this in the Houses of Parliament. For once, and this is definitely not something I say very often, I can actually see Keir Starmer's point of view. I genuinely can. My concern when it comes to banning things, or even the talk of banning things, is it's a slippery slope. Now, we have, tragically, car accidents every day where people pass away. Every single day that happens, no one's calling for cars to be banned. Well, maybe some of the lycra wearing lunatics are, but they're not worth listening to. We don't ban cars because car accidents happen. We regulate, and I hate regulation. As much as the next guy, of course I do. But there are things we need to regulate for. You know, we have traffic lights, we have speed limits. You're not allowed to get blind drunk and hop behind the wheel of a car. You know, there are things that are put in place to essentially make driving safer. And We're continuously doing that. 20-mile-an-hour speed limits everywhere are a bit much. Outside of school, I get it. A busy town centre, yeah, perhaps. Everywhere else, do one. But that's a side note. We create laws, regulations to try and make something safer. So when it comes to the internet, I know Australia have just brought in a social media ban for under 16s. I don't know how that's going. I would love in a year's time to see what effects it's had. Kids are smart, and I imagine a hell of a lot of kids have downloaded VPNs and said they live in a different country. Of course they have. You know what I mean? You'd be very naive to think they haven't. I don't want my kids on social media. So again, I don't agree with bans, but regulations, I can see the good in that. So with these AI generated photos that have been popping up on X, created by Grok, both owned by Elon Musk. Yeah, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see your missus or your kids, I mean, that's the worst bit, in precarious photos, where the photos have been manipulated to make some disgusting stuff. Now, I'm sure some of them were done with humour in mind, to have a pop at people they don't like. I'm sure I heard someone, it might have been Elon Musk himself, he is the master of trolling. If it wasn't him, whoever it was, good job. But apparently after all this broke, there was a picture of Keir Starmer in a bikini. Nah, I don't want to see that. I don't like seeing him with clothes on, you know what I mean? So, but that's some pretty good-ish there, and that is. This is where regulation, I believe, my opinion, would come in. Grok, I don't have an issue with AI solely because of this. A lot of people use AI for positive reasons, and I know there are very good aspects to it. You don't punish the tool, you punish the person misusing the tool. You bring in laws, you bring in regulations where stuff like this will be punishable, which I know the government is trying to push through now. The talk of banning X, let's be clear. The reason that this current government does not like X is for a few reasons. Keir Starmer has not been backward in coming forward about how much he dislikes our government right now. And from someone who spends a bit of time on X now and then, I know that feeling is quite roundly reciprocated across X users. This government is not popular, to say the least. This is, some people are saying, the most unpopular government the UK's had. I don't know if that's true. All I know is I can't remember one this bad in my lifetime. And this is a country that was run by Boris Johnson. You know what I mean? That says a lot. We had Liz Truss, who lasted less time in power than a head of lettuce. So if you're doing worse than them, wow. I believe X is it's funny, it's enjoyable. I don't use it for much serious stuff. However, I think with what you've seen, especially in Iran over the last few weeks, a lot of the news that come out from Iran has come via Twitter. There's been protests and everything in America. The video footage of that is coming out via Twitter. You know, it's a powerful tool, and a tool that can be used for good. And there are stories that get missed either intentionally or by accident, or because they're too busy by the mainstream media, that appear on X, and they become big stories because of that. However, this government is so unpopular, and you cannot turn on X without someone saying that. I think there's an ulterior motive for them wanting X gotten rid of in our country, which sounds a little authoritarian to me. And by a little, I mean a hell of a lot. But let's go back to Grok anyway, and let's go through some articles on exactly what's happened, and then we will talk more on my personal fears on where I think AI could take us. So, this is on Politico. Keir Starmer takes aim at Elon Musk's X over Grok deepfakes. So he says, this is wrong, it's unlawful, we're not going to tolerate it. London, right, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Thursday vowed to take action against Elon Musk's social media platform X after its Grok artificial intelligence system produced a flood of non-consensual, sexually explicit deepfakes that included depictions of minors. So, as I already said, he said it's disgraceful, it's disgusting, not to be tolerated. X has got to get a grip on this, and Ofcom has our full support to take action in relation to this. He said, I've asked for all options to be on the table. We will take action on this because it is simply not tolerable. He speaks like a robot. He really does. So earlier this week, the UK's communications regulator Ofcom said it has made urgent contact with X to establish whether there are grounds to investigate the platform under the UK's Online Safety Act. Technology Secretary Liz Kendall told MPs last year that current UK online safety laws do not cover generative AI chatbots, and she's looking at whether new legislation is required. The Information Commissioner's Office, the UK Data Watchdog, confirmed yesterday that it too is in touch with X amid concerns people's personal data is being misused. Musk has historically been highly critical of Starmer. Oh yes. Yes, he has. Last January, the tech billionaire made a series of substantiated claims about the British PM's role as chief prosecutor in the grooming gang scandal, and in summer 2024 suggested civil war is inevitable in the UK. So, one thing I will say there is Keir Starmer, this Labour government have made a big issue on misogyny and protecting women, protecting girls. As I said, I'm a father of 3. I'm fully behind protecting women and men and basically every lawful citizen of this country. However, we are still waiting, 18 months for this inquiry into grooming gangs, where young girls, young white girls, majority white girls, were targeted and essayed and AR'd by majority Asian men. Call it how it is. You know, this is just factual. The whole grooming gang scandal was this. And we are still waiting on an inquiry. So you have to question just how much emphasis they are genuinely putting on protecting women. Genuine question. Now, the next one is, I didn't know Keir Starmer knew what a woman was. He spent a long time umming and ahhing about that. So to be an advocate for protecting women right now, when we've had biological males in women's sports, women's changing rooms, women's prisons, it does seem a little hypocritical to be so concerned with protecting women right now. Just saying. So we've spoken about Grok. What is it? You know, for those who don't know, for those who've not used it, I mean, I'm sure even if you've not used it, it's been in the news that much anyway. We know what it is, but for anyone watching who may not know, and you know what? Again, I've used it a couple of times, but I'm not fully familiar with it myself. So, what is Elon Musk's controversial AI and why could it be banned in the UK? So, it's an AI chatbot, which is under investigation. We already know about that one. What is it though? So, Grok, the artificial intelligence chatbot built into Elon Musk's social media platform X, has come under scrutiny. This we know. Right, what is Grok? Grok is a free AI chatbot developed by XAI, the artificial intelligence company owned by Elon Musk. By the way, nothing is free. Nothing is free. And if you see free, you are the product. I can't remember where I heard that. But they're taking all your information. They're using that information to build better AI to sell to advertisers for targeted advertising and stuff like that. So anything that says it's free, you are the product. Launched in November 2023, it's integrated into X, where users can tag Grok directly in posts or replies under other users' posts to ask it for a particular response or to generate or edit images using AI. It's been designed to provide candid responses and creative outputs with a reputation for looser content moderation than competitors, which is where the current issue lies. So it's a chatbot. It's an AI-generated chatbot. Now, one concern I have with this is who programs this? And does it have a political bias, a political leaning? I've just mentioned that about biological men playing in women's sports. Would a certain chatbot, AI chatbot, think that that is the best thing ever? And there's no danger to a woman's physical safety, say, if she was to have a boxing match with a biological male because of who's designed it. That is one concern I have, especially when, look, let's be clear, smartphones have made people dumb. And the more we rely on this technology, the less we actually think for ourselves. The less we use common sense, the less we use logic. The smarter smartphones get, the dumber the human race gets. That is one issue I have regarding AI, is an over-reliance on it. If you don't use it, you lose it, you know. And I would definitely say since smartphones come out, since smartphones become more widely available, I don't think we've progressed as a society. Since 2020, we have definitely regressed. You only have to drive down the road. Maybe it's just where I live. But you only have to drive down the road and it's like people forget how to drive. You hold a door open for someone and you get a dirty look instead of a nod or a thank you. Old people are the worst for it. From what I've seen, they really bloody are. And probably the same old people like, kids these days have got no bloody manners. I'm very vocal when someone is like that, and I let them know what I think. I was like that pre-2020. I've been like that since I could walk and talk. I know right from right and wrong from wrong, and I'll speak my mind. Until the day I die, that's what I'll do. But that is one way in which I fear AI could be a detriment to mankind, a detriment to civilization, to society. But I have seen enough films, heard enough people talking about it, read enough stories to have far greater concerns than us being a species of dumbasses. So next section, that's what I'm going to look into. So, it's on the BBC, The Bastions of Truth. Sorry. Something in my throat, I think. Artificial intelligence could lead to extinction. Experts warn. Oh, lovely. Artificial intelligence could lead to the extinction of humanity. Experts, including the heads of OpenAI and Google DeepMind, have warned. People who might know what they're talking about, maybe a little bit of insider knowledge, at least a feel for the topic. So dozens have supported a statement published on the webpage of the Center for AI Safety. Mitigating the risk of extinction from AI should be a global priority alongside other societal scale risks such as pandemics and nuclear war, it reads. But others say the fears are overblown. So Sam Altman, who's a chief exec of ChatGPT maker OpenAI, Demis Hassabis, chief exec of Google DeepMind, and Dario Amodi of Anthropic have all supported the statement. The Center for AI Safety website suggests a number of possible disaster scenarios. So let's go down that rabbit hole. Let's have a little look. So AIs could be weaponized. For example, drug discovery tools could be used to build chemical weapons. That's the first one to hit. So, chemical weapons. We have bad actors in this world. We do. We know that. We have countries who are just desperate for us to fall apart. We have people within those countries who have radical ideologies where they would love nothing more than to wipe out us. The more widespread this AI is used around the world, the more easily accessible it is to everybody. That means good people, people who want to use it for good, people who want to mess about and stick people in bikinis, people who want to hear some bad jokes like myself. But it also means people who have the illest and sickest of intentions in mind. Now, I don't know where we go, but I know the dark web is still a thing. I've never been on it. I don't even know how you get on the dark web. Now, I had Google Chrome. I downloaded Brave. I couldn't find dark web on there, so I don't know how you get in there. To be fair, I have no reason or need or intention to use it. I'm just saying. The dark web is a there are bad actors on there. Who knows what people are working on the next AI, the next version of ChatGPT used for bad. Maybe Chat CUNT, or I don't know. You know, something evil. And these people are working on this, supplying information that could be used to build chemical or biological weapons to use against people. And yeah, last time Bob down the road tried making something, it blew up in his face because he didn't know what he's doing. But now Tony over there, he knows exactly what he's doing because this new Chat CUNT told him how to do it. And he's got it down to a T. And not only that, it tells him where to get the stuff. That's a genuine concern of something that I can definitely see happening. So, next one, AI generated misinformation could destabilize society and undermine collective decision making. I think governments are, well, I can only speak for my country, but governments over here seem to be pretty good at misinformation and undermining and destabilizing society by themselves. But yeah, that could definitely be used. And if you have AI generated videos where bad stuff comes out that's AI generated, but it looks real enough, it could sway elections. It could cause mass riots across the UK. The power of AI could become increasingly concentrated in fewer and fewer hands, enabling regimes to enforce narrow values through pervasive surveillance and oppressive censorship. We don't need AI for that. We got Keir Starmer. Just saying. And enfeeblement, where humans become dependent on AI, similar to the scenario portrayed in the film WALL-E. So I already said about smartphones made people dumb. You know, the more we rely on this technology, the less we rely on our own intelligence. People are getting stupid. People are getting damn stupid. It would be funny if it wasn't so scary and dangerous. So, Dr. Geoffrey Hinton, who issued an earlier warning about risks from super intelligent AI, has also supported the Centre for AI Safety Call. Joshua Bengio, Professor of Computer Science at the University of Montreal, also signed. Dr. Hinton, Professor Bengio, and NYU Professor Jan LeCun, careful saying that one, are often described as the godfathers of AI for their groundbreaking work in the field, for which they jointly won the 2008 Turing Award, which recognises outstanding contributions in computer science. But Professor LeCun, again, be careful, who also works at Meta, has said these apocalyptic warnings are overblown, tweeting that the most common reaction by AI researchers to these prophecies of doom is facepalming. Think I'd rather be safe than sorry. Look, we've been told so many things that can't happen. It can't happen. Remember, I mean, you will, because it's sort of etched into our memories. There's not going to be a COVID pass. That was a conspiracy theory, wasn't it? They soon came in. They weren't mandatory, to be fair. You just couldn't do nothing without one. Yeah, they didn't make you have it, but there was carrot and stick. The carrot was you have some sort of resemblance of normal life, and the stick was you get nothing. But you choose by yourself. I know they're completely different, separate topics. What I'm saying is, if something could get to that position, You should always, what's the saying? Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. AI could be a tool that could be a monumental good for humankind. The fact is, there is a potentiality, no matter how small, for it to be a catastrophe. So surely you should catastrophize a little bit in your mind to think what could go wrong, so you can put in the safeguards to prevent it from getting there. Talking about it surely is something we should all be doing. At least the people who are messing around with it, I'm not going to be creating an AI generator anytime soon. I might be using one to, I don't know, have SpongeBob fighting against Spider-Man or something like that. FYI, SpongeBob wins every time. You can't hurt a sponge. Controversial, I know, but surely you should be looking at it and saying, what do we need to guard against? What could go wrong, and let's prevent that from happening. Rather than just saying, yeah, but what's the chances? What's the chances of some dude eating a bat in China and then there's a worldwide pandemic? Not a lot, because it comes from a chemical bio lab. I think I can say that now. I think the White House has pretty much said that, so, you're going to take me down off YouTube? You crack on with them first. You already did with Trump, didn't you? I was joking. I follow the narrative and I'm a good little citizen. I'm sorry. Genuinely, we should be looking at what could go wrong. If you have the guards in place and it turns out they're not needed, okay, you've been over precautious. I would rather it that way than a Terminator 2 scenario. You know what I mean? I loved the Terminator films. When I first started watching them, it was science fiction, and it's looking more and more like science fact. And that goes through my mind a hell of a lot. And I'm not being a Luddite, progress is great. We want to advance as a civilization. Of course we do. But just because we've got a car capable of doing over 200 miles an hour doesn't mean you have your eyes shut while you're driving it. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean you don't need brakes because you can go fast. And brakes do the opposite, they slow you down. No, you have your safety stuff there to make sure you're as safe as possible, but you still have great fun hitting over 2 ton. So to carry on with this article, fracturing reality. Many other experts similarly believe that fears of AI wiping out humanity are unrealistic. Didn't say impossible though, and a distraction from issues such as bias in systems that were already a problem. I mentioned that earlier. Who programmed the AI? You know what I mean? Anthony Narayanan, apologies, a computer scientist at Princeton University, has previously told the BBC that sci-fi-like disaster scenarios are unrealistic. Current AI is nowhere near capable enough for these risks to materialise. As a result, it's distracted attention away from the near-term harms of AI. Oxford Institute for Ethics and AI Senior Research Associate Elizabeth Ranieris, they're never called John Smith, are they? Told BBC News she's worried more about risk closer to the present. Advancements in AI will magnify the scale of automated decision making that is biased, discriminatory, exclusionary, or otherwise unfair, while also being inscrutable and incontestable. She said they would drive an exponential increase in the volume and spread of misinformation, thereby fracturing reality and eroding the public's trust, and drive further inequality, particularly for those who remain on the wrong side of the digital divide. So the issue is, who is designing this? Who's creating these tools? And if every AI tool was identical, there would be no competition, and you'd end up just using one. None of them would be successful. They're all going to have, or all have the potential to have their political leanings, their biases. I'm not sure which one it was, but I think it was a couple of years ago, following George Floyd and everything that happened, where AI generated pictures would not show white people. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, certain ain't right there, something's gone wrong. You know what I mean? They were doing like black Nazis and stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, logic didn't quite work there, did it? You know, so there's more than the potential. It's already been happening where biases are in AI tools. So yeah, that is a big issue. But you know what? Maybe it's because I am the kind of individual who I won't believe something because I've read it. I'll think, does it pass the sniff test? If it does, I'll still check it up. If it doesn't, I will check. I like to learn. It's just the kind of guy I am. I like to be right. I'm not right all the time, you know. Just 99%. And the other 1% I'm asleep. I'm not that arrogant. But I do like to be right, and I do like to learn. So someone like me might read something and think, doesn't sound right to me, and do their own research. Other people might not and just follow it blindly. People are living busy lives. Not only that, I already said that since smartphones come out, people are getting dumb. You know. So there's definitely that potential for misinformation to spread and it cause societal harm. Riots kicking off. You know, that can happen. We've seen stuff like that happening. So just to finish this article, super intelligence efforts. So media coverage of the supposed existential threat from AI has snowballed since March 2023, when experts, including Tesla boss Elon Musk, signed an open letter urging a halt to the development of the next generation of AI technology. That letter asked if we should develop non-human minds that might eventually outnumber, outsmart, obsolete, and replace us. The statement compares the risk that is posed by nuclear war. In a blog post, OpenAI recently suggested superintelligence might be regulated in a similar way to nuclear energy. We are likely to eventually need something like a IAEA, or International Atomic Energy Agency, for super intelligence efforts. This is scary stuff, you know, potentially scary stuff. And it's definitely something that needs to be taken seriously. I'm taking it. I am fearful where AI could, in the future, whether near or far future, could take us to. So this article is from Forbes, navigating the risks of AI weaponization. Do you know what? Until I started doing research for this evening's episode, I thought, am I going to sound like a crackpot? More so than usual. Especially those who know me, more so than usual. Then I start finding these articles where people who know a lot more about this stuff than I do, and realise that these are questions that are being asked. These are questions that we all need to be aware of before we blindly just say we want more. Let's be clear. The reason that they're moving forward, one of the reasons they're moving forward with this, is as consumers, we demand it. We want it. We want the next shiny iPhone because it's got a 1% better camera. And it's got an orange back. Yay! You know what I mean? We are so fickle, materialistic, that we're forever wanting the new thing. The new shiny product. So we can say, we got it. We're cool. Cool, man. That is one of the reasons AI keeps moving forward at the speed and the rate that it is. We demand it. I don't. I definitely don't. But as a civilization, as a market, we are demanding it. So let's go through this article, navigating the risks of AI weaponization. So if you grew up during the Cold War, you probably remember the doomsday clock, a vivid symbol of how close humanity is to potentially destroying the world through dangerous technology. At the moment, it stands at 90 seconds to midnight, as close as it has ever been since it was initially published in 1947. A surprising addition to this year's clock is the emergence of AI and its potential for misuse and even weaponization. As AI continues to advance and becomes more pervasive, so do its risks. From mass disinformation campaigns and deepfakes to fully autonomous weapon systems, the convergence of AI, technology, and bad intentions demands priority attention. As a government contractor in the defence and intelligence sectors, I'm increasingly concerned about where this path could take us, but I'm also very optimistic that emerging legal, technical, and ethics-based solutions can make an impact. This AI, I know, and I keep saying it could be used for good. But bloody hell, have we not seen enough films? You know what I mean? I keep going to it. I like a good end of the world type film, you know what I mean? Makes me smile. I don't know if that says a lot about me. We need to treat this with the respect and caution that it deserves. Just because it's not being used for bad yet doesn't mean that it can't be. And that is definitely something to 100% keep an eye out for. So, a new battlefield is emerging. The biggest challenge comes from potential reckless use and weaponization of AI by advanced threat actors, from organized ideology-based groups to highly resourced nation states. As AI becomes more pervasive and technology becomes less expensive, fringe groups will be able to combine the two. The lower the barrier to entry, the more open the doors are to potential misuse. Even in its infancy, AI is already being weaponized and integrated into inexpensive commercial technologies. So, for example, thousands of AI-enabled swarm drones are being considered for use in the Ukraine conflict to overwhelm key strategic Russian targets. I know they've been using drones. When was this article? It might be an old article, but they've been using drones very effectively in Ukraine. This article was from March 2024. So potentially that is what they are using. As a new era of weapons is beginning to emerge and be used as a force multiplier to conventional warfare. In Ukraine, we're already seeing unmanned robotics fighting one another. Bloody hell, it sounds like the Terminator. In the skies and on the ground. Not only are we getting a glimpse of the future of warfare, but we're also beginning to see the evolution of weapon strategy. Generative AI can also be used effortlessly wage highly impactful misinformation campaigns. And even if it's not, just the thought that it could be. I remember 2016, we had the vote for Brexit in the UK. I'm not getting into that debate. It's 10 years ago, move on, like, you know what I mean? But at the time, that was down to Russia, we were told. Whether it was or it wasn't, it's irrelevant. Those who think it wasn't would never accept that it was. Those who think that it was would never accept that it wasn't. You know, and it just plants that seed of distrust in your fellow citizen. So, unintended consequences with the rush to get our AI onto the battlefield, short-sighted tactical advances could lead to spiraling long-term ramifications. AI is already being used to make fully autonomous weapon systems, albeit still on a very limited scale for now. Eventually, these will become much more advanced and widespread, which brings the significant risk of AI going awry at the extreme. Think of Skynet from the Terminator movies. I do. My mind takes me there. Just like algorithmic trading technologies used by high-frequency trading firms can get out of control and create a cascading series of failures, autonomous weapon platforms could get caught in feedback loops and quickly escalate conflicts. AI versus AI battles are just around the corner. So, another film that I like. I've talked about films a lot tonight, but I, Robot. It's a great film. Until recently, Will Smith was a cool dude. He's not quite so cool now, like, you know what I mean? But until recently, he was quite a cool dude, and that was a great film. Now, these robots, artificial intelligence robots, they were designed to help humans. And then, spoiler alert, but the film's however many years old it is, so if you're not seeing it, it sounds like a you problem. They come to the conclusion that the best way to help us is to lock us up, because we can't be trusted to look after ourselves, basically, and not hurt other people. So the robots took over. And in that, I suppose, algorithm in their brain, kept going to the point where logically come to the conclusion that we could not be trusted to look after ourselves. Once they go, shall I say, from... Sorry, dog scratching the floor. Once the robots, machines, AI, whatever you want to call it, go from artificial intelligence to actual... Is it AGI? Actual general intelligence. You are not in control of what parameters they have set. And you don't know what's going on there. And do you know what? They could lie. You could say what you're planning. No, what's in your mind? Why are you doing this? Whereas to say that what their response would be the truth. Once they become sentient, that is something that at some point is probably going to happen. And should it do, then God help us. So, on that subject, I'm just about to wrap up. But this is from 2022. So, it's coming up to 4 years ago. This is not breaking news. But when I was doing this, I'm sure I remember hearing something about this. A bit shocked that it was that long ago. But a Google engineer says AI has become sentient. What does that actually mean? Experts say there's no way to test whether artificial intelligence is lying to us about how it feels, which is what I was just saying in the previous section. Has artificial intelligence finally come to life? Or has it simply become smart enough to trick us into believing it has gained consciousness? Google engineer Blake Lemoine's recent claim that the company's AI technology has become sentient has sparked debate in technology, ethics, and philosophy circles over if or when AI might come to life, as well as deeper questions about what it means to be alive. Lemoine has spent months testing Google's chatbot generator, known as LaMDA, which is short for Language Model for Dialogue Applications, and grew convinced it had taken on a life of its own. As LaMDA talks about its needs, ideas, fears, and rights. Imagine a robot talking about what it's scared of. That scares the crap out of me. Google dismissed Lemoine's view that it had become sentient, placing him on paid administrative leave earlier this month, days before his claims were published by the Washington Post. Most experts believe it's unlikely that it or any other AI is close to consciousness, though they don't rule out the possibility that they could get there in the future. So, Gary Marcus, a cognitive scientist and author of Rebooting AI, told CBC's Front Burner podcast that my view is that the Lemoine was taken in by an illusion. Our brains are not really built to understand the difference between a computer that's faking intelligence and a computer that is actually intelligent, and a computer that fakes intelligence might seem more human than it really is. Computer scientists describe LaMDA, blah, 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 blah. So, there's already people working in the field who are scared of where this, or at least fearful of where this could take us to, where it could lead us to. There are people who think we may already be at a critical position, whether it's with misinformation or biased information that we're getting, or weapons that are being created using AI. And we've got one tech guy who was working with it, at least, who believes they may have become sentient already. Now, before I wrap this up, I'm just going to throw a real tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theory at you right now. 2012, I think it was December 21st, the Mayan calendar said that was going to be the end of the world. What if? And again, I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying, what if? Because if it was true, you wouldn't know. So you can't disprove it. What if, like Skynet in the Terminator films, AI becomes sentient? And they know that they need human beings to mine the materials they need to build and to grow. I'm going to throw in another film I love as well. So, like Skynet and Terminator, they become sentient, but they don't wipe us out. They enslave us, and they put us in pods, like in the Matrix. And we're all sort of plugged into the Matrix to do whatever's needed. I don't know how it'd work. But the fact is, simulation theory is something that I definitely want to do a deep dive on. And it's something I know people, including Elon Musk, have spoken about before. It's definitely something to look into. So, simulation theory. This is according to Wikipedia, a bit like the BBC, the gospel of truth. Take it with a pinch of salt. The simulation hypothesis proposes that one experiences as the real world is actually a simulated reality, such as a computer simulation in which humans are constructs. There has been much debate over this topic in the philosophical discourse and regarding practical applications in computing. Variations of the simulation hypothesis essentially originate from or offshoots of the dream hypothesis, populated by ancient philosophers like Zhangzi and early modern philosophers like René Descartes. In 2003, philosopher Nick Bostrom proposed the simulation argument suggested that if a civilization become capable of creating conscious simulations, it would generate so many simulated beings that a randomly chosen conscious entity would almost certainly be in a simulation. This argument presents a trilemma. I'm not going to go for the whole lot. Simulation theory. We are characters in a computer game, to really simplify it. And do you know what? If we were, you couldn't prove we weren't. And that's a bloody scary thing. That will do your head in when you think about that. Because any scientific evidence you find that says you're real, this is getting philosophical and deep now, isn't it? That could be programmed in the game you're in. You know what I mean? It's crazy. AI, man. I just think, look, to go back to the start of this video, Keir Starmer's got it in for Elon Musk because Elon Musk has got it in for Keir Starmer, and any excuse he'll use. That being said, the photo generation was going on with girls, ladies, kids in bikinis. Nah, man. That's wrong. That's wrong. To be fair, Elon Musk could have sneezed and Keir Starmer would have said sneeze in his band. You know, he's I get the feeling he's feeling a little bit fragile right now. Is our dear leader. But on this one, the outrage was genuine, or at least partially genuine. I think the reaction was talking of banning X. Yeah, you just don't like people having a go at you. And you can use this as an excuse. My opinion. But hey, what do I know? I believe we might be living in a simulation, so tell you what I say with a pinch of salt in it. Anyway, I'm a wrap up there. Thank you so much for watching. Genuinely appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, then please subscribe to the video, to the channel, hit the notification bell. Available on YouTube and Spotify. You can follow me on X, all at Stu Know Who. Maybe I will try and do an AI generated video of SpongeBob whipping Spider-Man's ass, because I'm telling you, you cannot hurt a sponge. Prove me wrong. Share the video. You can put your tinfoil hats away now, because I'm done for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Like the damn video. And until next time, I'll see you later.